With that said, people, with that said, although there is no H in with, that doesn't mean I can't infuse it in, as I have been doing for months on years now. Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. Let's just go. Do I still have that back window open here? Let's go look at Cringe Viva. Let's go look at Cringe Viva right here. Oh, the days back when I know, I look in my eyes, my old eyes, and I can see the insecurity of feeling awkward talking to a camera. And in case anybody doubts me,
this particular article says that the FBI had two other informants on the inside collecting information.
See, I'm an idiot in that I don't learn fast enough. Mute.
But according to a BuzzFeed article that is far more recent than this article, it seems that the FBI used at least 12 other informants in order to infiltrate this group. And one has to seriously start asking the question that if you have 12 FBI informants infiltrating a group of 6 people, at what point do the FBI informants become the group? Setting that question aside, setting a fact that the FBI seems to have used at least 12 informants to infiltrate this plot, setting aside the fact that one of their informants has now been indicted on federal gun charges, it gets even worse for the prosecution because now it seems that one of the FBI agents themselves have been indicted on assault charges. The Detroit News: FBI agent in Whitmer kidnap case arrested following domestic incident.
The domestic incident, by the way, I'll tell you one thing that I like more about that old Viva: the beard. I'm going to try to grow that out so that it becomes massive and burly. See, the white, I seem to have lost the white. Anyhow, the beard was better there. The rest, I think, might have been. What was I saying? The oh god, yeah, that FBI agent. Okay, no comment. But the FBI agent who was arrested on domestic violence charges, stripped of, he was the central FBI agent in this case. He was the star witness for a while, from what I remember. Had a domestic incident after he and his partner, spouse, wife went to a swingers party. I don't think many people, it's my personal opinion, open relationships don't end well. Keep your schmeckle in your pants and you will avoid a lot of grief in life. Let me rephrase. If you're married, keep your schmeckle in your pants and you'll avoid a lot of grief in life. But even if you're not, keep it in your pants and you'll avoid a lot of grief in your life. And we can think of recent examples of prominent celebrities who, you know, everybody wants to, do I need to put on headphones? Tell me if there's still echo, people. There's been some recent examples where having a certain lifestyle as an adult, even if it's morally innocent, morally not blameworthy, can lead to some serious problems, some serious accusations. But this was back in July, where you had FBI agents getting in trouble with the law. Some of their informants, you know, again, breaking the law. Other informants in this case being paid healthy annual salaries, probably more than most Americans, for their role in infiltrating, in exploring, in discovering and exposing this plot. They were receiving not just salaries, but the paid informants, for those of you who don't know, had active leadership roles in the alleged plot. But at least there is an H in forthwith. There can be an H in pretty much everything. Did I see this one here? Viva fell in love with his reflection and forgot why he played the video. I did. The beard was good. This case was interesting from the beginning, and the more facts that came out, I know how I started off thinking in this case. I know how I started off thinking in the Michael Flynn judicial saga. I did not start off so quickly with the presupposition of guilt in Sandman or Amy Cooper, although I still did, because humans are human. I remember in Nick Sandman, I believe I said, you know, the school, when they were chanting things like, don't they realize that this makes everyone look kind of, I think I remember saying something like that, when it looked like they were chanting to drown out the drumming. Anyway, it just shows you, you get burnt once, you know, you won't get burnt again quite so quickly. Once bitten, twice shy, for good and for bad. But I want to share a screen. Let's just get the news, people. Sorry, I should get the article, which was, No convictions. Do we want to go with the CBC? We're going to go 2 acquitted. Let's go with the Guardian. I'm always nervous about cookies. What you want a cookie? Let me see here. Boom, shakalaka. Okay, so this is the Guardian. Let me just make sure that we're looking at the same screen, and we are. The Guardian. 2 acquitted and mistrial declared for 2 others in Whitmer kidnap plot trial. Jury in Grand Rapids acquit 2 on conspiracy to kidnap the Michigan governor and unable to agree on verdicts for the other 2 men. They're going to go have another trial. The Crown already announced it. 2 of the 4 men were acquitted on Friday for conspiracy to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer in a plot prosecutors said was motivated by fury at the Democrats' tough COVID-19 restrictions in the early stages of the pandemic. Those are the 2 individuals who were acquitted. Jurors could not agree on Adam Fox and who was the other one? Who were they? Could not agree on verdicts against Adam Fox, who prosecutors described as the ringleader of an anti-government group. Oh yeah, and Barry Croft Jr. Okay, mistrial declared. Listen to this. In a statement, Whitmer's chief of staff, Joanne Hulls, said, "There must be accountability and consequences for those who commit heinous crimes." We all agree on that. Without accountability, extremists will be emboldened. We all agree on that. Let's substitute the word heinous crimes and extremists for entrapment and government agents. There must be accountability and consequences for those who commit entrapment. Without accountability, government will be emboldened. This isn't, I said the theme of hashtag confession through projection or accuse your enemies of doing what you're doing so as to create confusion. It's going to run through all 3 stories today. This is how it runs through this one. You have Whitmer's chief of staff saying, yeah, people who commit heinous crimes should be held accountable. There's no question. You don't need to say something like that. Without accountability, criminals, extremists will be emboldened. Agreed. You don't need to say things like that. We all know that. But this applies as well for the government overreach, and what I guess the jury found in this case to be entrapment. So just brother, there must be accountability and consequences for those who do certain things. Without accountability, certain people will be emboldened. I'm going to bring this story out now. Stop screen, and I'm going to bring in another story, which is the BuzzFeed. No, it wasn't BuzzFeed. Which one was it? Yeah, here, it's this. Let me just see which one this is. Yeah, this is the BuzzFeed article. Without accountability, people will be emboldened. Without identifying and sanctioning bona fide entrapment, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm sorry, that's what it was. At one point in the article, it said, they talk about normalizing extremism. When this BuzzFeed article came out back in the day, when was this from? July 2021. I read this article and I said, this article is normalizing government entrapment. The article is almost saying it's normal for there to be 12 plus informants, FBI agents, in order to infiltrate a plot. It's normal. It's normal that they do things in order to promote the plot. It's normal, people. Get used to it. I read this article, and that was my thought. And I'll just read this section right here, which was the part that I found, the most revelatory. An examination of the case by BuzzFeed News, also reveals that some of those informants acting under the direction of the FBI. So just parse that for a second. The informants, paid informants, some of them, acting under the direction of the FBI. So you have people who are the ones purportedly exposing or infiltrating this plot, but they're being paid by the government and they're operating under their direction. An examination of the case by BuzzFeed News also reveals that some of those informants acting under the direction of the FBI played a far greater role than has previously been reported. Working in secret, they did more than just passively observe and report on the actions of the suspects. Instead, they had a hand in nearly every aspect of the alleged plot, starting with its inception. The extent of their involvement raises questions as to whether there would have even been a conspiracy without them. This is from BuzzFeed, people. And it's, talk about burying the lead. How far into that article do you have to go in order to have probably the most important question of that article brought to your attention? You have to get far into that article. So, you know, it has people asking whether or not there would have even been a conspiracy without the involvement of paid FBI informants operating at the direction and instruction of the FBI, remunerated by the FBI, playing a decisive role at every step of the way, including the inception of the project. And you have people out there who are still saying, go to jail. I mean, I tweeted out yesterday, and I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but I said, 2 years ago, if you had said, and I know from experience, this could smell like entrapment, you were branded as a theorist, or I'm just going to say a realist now. You were branded, you were labeled, you were maligned, you were accused and called all sorts of names. Someone in response said, funny, I don't care how many FBI agents approach me, I'm never going to commit a crime. And to which I responded, yeah, that's why they're not going to approach you. That's why they're not going to try to use you as a stooge to set up the crime to infiltrate in the first place. There's a reason why historically, when these types of situations have occurred, they have gone after people who are mentally unwell, who are vulnerable, who are easy to manipulate, or who are easy to instigate. There's a reason why they go after a specific target in order to manipulate them to commit crimes that, but for they arguably would never have committed or never have entertained in a serious manner, in a serious criminal manner. Everyone out there has probably at some point in their life said, I'm going to kill you, and had absolutely, not even in a malicious way. Or say that, I'm going to beat the crap. Everybody has uttered statements that could be, if someone wants to just take black and white words on a paper, can be interpreted in a criminal sense. Everyone out there has probably said, some stupid things in the moment. But when the FBI deliberately targets people, and I don't want to call anybody names in this case, they have been given labels that I'm not going to repeat, but they're not flattering as far as mental capacity goes, as far as mental wellness goes. They were all, one individual lived in the basement of a vacuum shop, and whatever his underlying mental issues were, apparently he was frequently consuming the Mary Jane. This is an individual who, a lot of people talk about stupid things, but they don't have 12 paid FBI informants to then infiltrate and then train them and then conceive of the idea and put it into the works by exploiting their mental issues, their vulnerability, mental, physical, spiritual, financial, in order to do it. So it's that BuzzFeed article was shocking at the time, because the conclusion of the article was, after getting through that paragraph, okay, so they did this. So people are questioning whether or not there would have even been a conspiracy. If you're even questioning that, by the way, there's your defense. BuzzFeed made their defense. Some people are even questioning whether or not there would have been a conspiracy without them. Well, there's your reasonable doubt. There's your defense of entrapment. BuzzFeed made it. They made it en passant, and they made it in a way so as to normalize this type of FBI conduct. Get used to it going forward. Get used to more FBI agents, more FBI informants than alleged perps. Get used to active participation, active instruction, active training from the moment of inception. Get used to it. And then when they find people who are, stoogey enough to be the stooges, lock them up for life, because that's what these people would have been, that's what the two acquitted could have been facing. The other two who are going to stand trial still face that. Viva, I think your sound doesn't come from your big mic. It sounds different. Oh, that would be so irritating. It has not been coming through my big mic the entire time. The one time how bad has the audio been? Flipping. Now I'm angry. How bad has the audio been, people? Let me know in the chat. Has the audio been terrible 1 or adequate 2? I don't even want to go with good versus bad. 2, the audio has been adequate. The one freaking time I don't check to double check, because the video was coming through default. I could see that. God damn it. Sorry. Don't mean to use the Lord's name in vain, but gosh darn it, is that frustrating. Anyhow, thank you. You shouldn't have pointed it out. Let me just live the lie at least. I would never have known. Okay. But so BuzzFeed is, I didn't get enough of a condemnation from BuzzFeed. I don't want to switch now because I'm going to put this into a podcast anyhow, so it's going to mess with the audio if I do it. So we're going to live with the mistake. BuzzFeed, I didn't get the feeling were condemning it enough. I got the feeling they were sensitizing the general public to this is how it's going to happen going forward. And in a way, you know, it puts January 6th in perspective. This is the way it's going to be, people. If the FBI has to pay more informants than accused, if the FBI and its informants have to play an active role in setting it up, carrying it out, training individuals, finding the right vulnerable people to exploit, if that's how they have to foil crime, get used to it. That's what justice is going to be going forward in America. Well, you know, I don't know that there'll be any sanctions for the entrapment in this. Barnes and I have talked about it. And And you know, I think he mentioned that there have been only 2 cases where there has been FBI sanction for entrapment. I doubt this will be one of the cases. Audio is great, except when you play a video. Yeah, that would have been that would explain why there was more echo, because with this, it's directional, so it wouldn't have picked up on the camera and whatever. Now I'm going to be absolutely traumatized with my neuroses going forward. I'm going to check every time. I'm going to check 3 times throughout a stream from now on. So anyways, that was the story. Let me get back to the article, because I just want to highlight the part that I was talking about. Oh, I closed it down. Oh no, here, 2 acquitted here. So back to the article. Defense attorneys portrayed their clients as credulous weekend warriors, prone to wild talk and often consuming things you should not be consuming. I say that as a joke, you know, with the exception of a snifter of ported Christmas. FBI undercover informants, agents and informants, the attorney said, tricked them into agreeing to a conspiracy. But where was it? Yada, yada, yada. So the decision, yeah, they got the decision. The decisions were announced a few hours after the jury said it was struggling to find unanimity on all 10 charges. The judge told jurors to keep working, go for it. They'll get another trial. I wanted to find the part where deliberations resumed earlier, with a court employee handing over a large plastic bag containing pennies, known as Exhibit 291. The pennies were requested before jurors went home on Thursday. Pennies taped to commercial-grade fireworks were intended to act like shrapnel, investigators said. I asked the question. I don't know the answer. Who would have put that idea in somebody's head? I mean, who would have put that? If the paid informants get these guys and say, you know what you really need to do? This is what you need to do to make it worse. Look, they were going to do it. And Barnes and I have talked about the threshold for entrapment. You know, what the observing agents are supposed to do. They can't put the idea. They can't make recommendations. We've talked about that. Was the highlight at the beginning of the stream. You know, they weren't even just making recommendations. They were training. They were the paid FBI informants. I think it was the guy who was getting paid $60,000 a year, was the one telling the guys, let's I'm going to show you how to do things. We're going to go in the middle of the woods and train. Oh, here we go. This is it. This was the statement. Projection. Accuse your enemies of doing what you're doing. In her statement, Hull's Whitmer's chief of staff said, today, Michiganders and Americans, especially our children, they're always throwing in the children the way Stetler reflexively goes to another. Shield yourself with the victims. That's what they do. Especially our children are living through the normalization of political violence. I would argue that what they're living through right now is the normalization of government abuse and government overreach and entrapment for the sake of foiling the crime. There are legit times when the FBI or authorities foil a crime. There are, on the other hand, legit times where they actually create the crime in the first place. And in my view, knowing what I now know of this case, the question would be, would these 4 individuals ever have seriously entertained any of these ideas on anything more than sitting in a basement doing whatever they do, joking around about how angry they are, versus being trained, organized, encouraged by paid government informants. The plot to kidnap and kill a governor may seem like an anomaly. It is, but we must be honest about what it really is, the result of violent, divisive rhetoric that is all too common across the country. Contextualize that, people, with the other Gretchen Whitmer controversy, 8645, talking about normalizing violent rhetoric. Talking about normalizing political violence. Talk about normalizing government abuse and government overreach and entrapment. Talk about normalizing that, but substitute the words. You have a governor who had 86-45 well, it wasn't front and center. In the backdrop of one of her public speeches, 86 means to nix, or as some people say, 80 miles out, 6 feet deep, or as others used to say, 8 by 6 was the size of a coffin. 86 used in mob talk to take someone out. 86-45. And you've got her chief of staff talking about how violent rhetoric is being normalized in the country. Divisive, violent rhetoric. Confession through projection, through and through. She added, the governor remains focused on her work on behalf of Michigan and all Michiganders. You'll never forget that word once you've heard it. That includes addressing violence and threats to our democracy. Does it include investigating grotesque amounts of deaths in old person facilities, long-term healthcare facilities, because COVID positive patients were being sent back? The deaths were being covered up. I need to get Charlie LaDuff on. Charlie, if you're watching, I'm going to message you after this. We need to have that stream that we've been talking about. The entrapment defense is basically impossible to pull off. That's how deeply the FBI were involved in this. The entrapment defense is basically, in general, impossible to pull off. Leon's Law, thank you. The statement is, entrapment as a defense is so difficult to prove. That's how deeply the FBI were involved in this, because they succeeded on it. I'm curious to know why they couldn't get a decision one way or the other on the other two defendants. They might have had a more active role that they might construe as legit conspiracy. I don't know. But yeah, Leon's Law, that's my understanding as well. And I trust your understanding more than mine, because I believe that you might actually have, first of all, based on the dollar sign, you are American, so I will trust your assessment of American law over mine. But thank you for the chat. Mandalore Wise, what I still don't know, WTF, what the fudge is the alleged WMD they are going to use? It was an explosive. It was just explosives. And now it seems that the explosive that they were going to use might have been fireworks with pennies attached to it. I mean, that's the WMD, I unless I'm mistaken, and I don't think I am, were explosives, because I made the tongue-in-cheek quip at the time. Well, if that's what a WMD is, then Iraq certainly had them. Did the FBI dust off one of those old save Crockett's, or was the secondhand smoke enough? Yeah, if they were asking for the pennies that were going to be attached to fireworks to create shrapnel, that might be the WMD that they were referencing. Stupid idea, by the way, anyone out there. Don't do that. Don't tinker with fireworks either. That much I can tell you from experience. We used to have we used to be stupid kids. I emptied out fireworks and opened up the capsules of the Roman candles. That stuff is explosive. I'll tell you one thing. Like I put a match to it. It caught. It flamed up and then singed my hand faster than I could even pull out. But yeah, that I think is the WMD that they were talking about. Christoman says, un petit 5 pour t'encourager de la part d'un Montréalais du quartier français. That says, here's a small 5 to encourage you from the Montrealer from the French Quarter. Christoman, merci beaucoup. What else did I have on the backdrop for that story? Because I had a few articles that I pulled up that I wanted to go over. Yeah, this is what I mean. This is the part that I had about the BuzzFeed article. Let me not make the mistake the third time. The learning curve. The first time is the rule, the second time is the exception, and the third time the exception becomes the rule. City of God. Let me bring this one down. Here. Mute.
FBI informants getting indicted, FBI agents getting arrested, and now it seems that the FBI is withholding material evidence from the defense.
That was the other issue, is that the FBI had withheld evidence from the defense, and there were text messages between the FBI agents and their paid informants instructing them to delete the messages between the two of them. Oh, sorry, that was up there. No hair. That was when I had a sick skin fade. Oh, the place has since, I think, went out of business. But reading that BuzzFeed article on the Whitmer alleged plot, I get the distinct impression BuzzFeed is trying to normalize entrapment, share a way to be discussed Sunday with Barnes Law. Or did Viva get sick? His current face looks so gaunt compared to his older face. Do you know what it is? It's the beard. You trim it, and it looks like I have a massive chin in that video compared to now. But I'll tell you, I haven't lost weight. I haven't put on weight. I have been roughly the same weight for the last 30. How old am I? Yeah, basically the last 29 years. Same. If the scale is accurate as well, same body fat percentage, relatively speaking. I think I used to be like under 7 at one point. Now, adulthood takes on. I don't like the Satan. Which one? Anyway, so what else did I have for Whitmer? There was that. It's an amazing thing to see in real time. Conspiracy 2 years ago, reality today, in more ways than one, and in more stories than one. We're seeing it left, right, and center. Okay, I got the soft bigotry, got the more problems for Whitmer, reading the BuzzFeed article, and then we got we covered the stories. Let's see what I'm gonna hold on. Cancel this. Let me just go to Rumble and make sure that I haven't missed anything on Rumble. Maybe we'll go back to my Twitter feed just to. Oh, we got one Rumble rant from Niboopsh or Nibu Opsh. Remember, kids, YouTube is for Disney loving. It's for Disney loving groomers. Always use Rumble. The lasting problem with YouTube is it's still the place to reach people who you don't already reach. And it's, and look, there's also the financial aspect of, you don't cut your nose off to spite your face financially and reach wise. One day I do believe Rumble will be the place where it will be cool to have Rumble will be the cool place to be, but I also think Rumble is going to change the narrative and make free speech cool again. I should put that on a hat. Make free speech cool again. Trademarked, copyrighted. Phishing is for narcs, just saying that there seems to be an awful lot of baiting and entrapment going on. It's a joke, brother. Bear Lamb, thank you very much. It's not a bad joke. Yeah. So, and let's see, we got, I'm not your buddy guy says, let this sink in. The FBI have organized bombings, drug trafficking, human trafficking, child and riots. They become the evil they fought. What's that saying about staring into the abyss? Well, I don't think they become the evil they've fought. I think they don't exist without the evil they need to fight. It's the Unbreakable plot, Well, it's not really the Unbreakable plot. What's that movie called? Unbreakable. Samuel Jackson, Bruce Willis. They don't exist without a reason to exist. So in order to justify that reason to exist, hey, if something happens, it justifies our reason to exist. And if nothing is there to happen, well, let's go looking for, let's go looking for scabs to pick to create an infection.